Welcome back to the Racetech YouTube channel. New week, Monday morning. We're working on a couple of different themes. The video might sort of leap around a little bit, but we'll do our best to try and make it flow. Just working on an aluminium drop tank for a Holden chassis this morning. So just going through and tacking up the outside, tacking up the baffles into the middle. Tank's a 3mm aluminium tank that will be fitting a EFI fuel pump module to by Proflow. We've used those a heap and find they work really well and they're quite affordable. Time to get after it. Alright, so we're speed hot rodding today. We've just set the Salisbury diff up on the bench, just had a bit of a look at the 4-link brackets. The radius to sit around the diff housing is spot on. Obviously we've got to split the bracket because we're not taking the bearing housings and all that off. So we'll measure off the backing plates, find centre, and then we can work backwards from there, knowing that our maximum spacing between the rails we can have is about 950mm. So we'll get some stuff tacked up. So we've got our 4-link brackets tacked up where they're going to live. Time to get the TIG out and make them permanent. G'day, Tuesday morning, hectic as hell, work going on left, right and centre, phone's ringing flat out, so it's always a good thing. Just doing a bit of work on some class 10 arms this morning. The owner would like the ends boxed in, so pretty straightforward and easy job there. I'm just doing a bit of work on a plate to fit the power brakes to the hot rod. And Sam's in the back making noise with the die grinder, fixing some rust holes on the Holden chassis. Go and see where all the noise is coming from. So just TIG welding on some pieces on that thick plate to then shape up, and they line up with the factory bead lines in the firewall. So we'll just do some sanding on this and get some of the abrasive scratches and that out of it, and then we'll give it a tack up in the firewall.
Yeah, not too bad. Working away today.
Brendo's just starting to work on the dash in the Chevy truck. It's got this firewall plate tacked into the 37 that'll hold the power brake setup. And now I'm just going to weld that sucker in there. Oh, so we got that plate welded in. Just been keeping it cool with a wet rag. Now it's time to grind down all the welds, make it look pretty. Alright, so we just finished working out the brake booster panel on the front of the 37 coupe and given that a metal finish. That glued in there really, really well. So we continued the beads across the firewall into the new panel, and also continued that one down. A little bit of body work on that, and once that's painted it'll look absolutely mint, and it'll look like it was always meant to be there. G'day, Wednesday morning. Had a pretty early one this morning, just wanted to get in, and we've got a coat of black on the Holden chassis that we're building for the F-Truck. Just wanted to get a top coat on that, get that finally sealed up in the front area only, so we can get the front end back in and save having all the parts just kicking around the workshop. Get on with the 4-link and that probably this weekend, but we'll just show you how the paint finished up. So we just use KBS chassis coater. Like I sort of reiterate, this is a cheap, fast, put together ute. But I'll tell you what, like it, yeah, the paint itself's not cheap, but the prep is fairly minimal. You know, good scuff, rust converter, lay down the rust seal, what they call the rust seal, which is like a seal coating, and then that's just the top coat over that this morning. But this stuff sets like an absolute rock, and you know, is as glossy as. I do really prefer to powder coat chassis, but by the time we send it out, have it sandblasted, get it powder coated, even though we get really looked after by our powder coater. In fact, probably would have got it done for the cost of the paint and all the rest of it. We're under the gun a little bit with this one. We need a work ute up and going, definitely this year, and it's still quite a lot to do. Obviously, you know, starting with a 1958 F100, it's been blasted and it's in epoxy primer, but there's quite a bit of rust work to do. Got the engine sort of, you know, clean, ready to put back together. But yeah, it'll take all year. So any week that we can find an hour here or there is definitely, like, just keep pushing and get it done. Just got the old WB power steering box. Just going to give that a bit of a clean up. Hit it with some Rebuild Black, and surely that'll be like brand new. Just doing a little bit more on the forelink this morning. Just tacking up a support bar to run across between the mounts. Yes, it is a cheapy V8 Salisbury, but that's how this whole build is going, and it'll be plenty strong enough for a stock LS1 as a daily drive. So just tacked in that support rod from left to right, weld it to the center. It's time to glue it in. Alright, so we've got that support bar glued onto the back of the diff. That's just a piece of 120 thou chromoly, 1-inch tube. That'll be plenty for what we're doing. Well, there we have it. 6 hours work. We've got a 4-link diff ready to rock and roll. We had previously put new wheel bearings, all new brakes. The only thing left to do probably is a pinion seal. The center looked really good, 308 ratio. So yeah, pretty much good to go. Yo, so that's the end of a pretty warm Wednesday. You can just hear Brendan starting to throw a bit of primer around on the dash of the Chevy truck. He spent the last day sort of repairing that, and he's putting some high build on that now. Pretty keen to get the dash into colour, and then we can install the steering, the brakes, do a bit of a hot wire setup for ignition because it's only diesel. So it's like one wire to the pump and it'll run. It'll just make life a lot easier to move around when it eventually leaves here and heads up to the actual paint booth proper. And Jaden starts working his magic and doing all the inside door jams and the whole outside of the truck in black. We'll just cruise in and see what Brendo's up to now. G'day, Thursday morning, feeling it a little bit, early start, long day yesterday, pretty hot, pretty brutal, pretty keen for some cooler weather. Just show you some work that Brendo got done yesterday, and I think today we're getting some colour on the dash of the truck, which is awesome. So let's have a look at that. So that's the dash in the 48 Chev truck that we're building. It's got a coat of high build on it that Brendan's going to block out today, and he's telling me that there could be black coming right up. That'll be a pretty good deal. Then we can get some steering and some brakes and everything hooked up, and yeah, just start to make the truck a bit more movable. We're fortunate to have a forklift to shift stuff around, but yeah, it's not always convenient to say the least. Late yesterday afternoon, sort of into the evening, was able to get some of the suspension stuff back into the Holden chassis. Just saves it laying around. Might as well put in hard and try and get it on some wheels. It just makes life a bit easier for us to store it as we move on to the next part of the project. So that's the chassis that you know, we paid $250 for the chassis, and it came with a full front end, 2 spare V8 diffs. So even though we've got new springs, bushers, ball joints, everything to freshen it up, I don't know, like I reckon we're probably talking about $1,000, you know, by the time we get a roller together, which is brand new. KBS paint turned out really nice. Plenty good enough for what we're doing with the old work truck. So just working on mounting up the brake booster on the 37 coupe. We got this universal bracket with the kit, and it's a pretty handy deal, saves a hell of a lot of time. But as always with all this stuff, never just sort of bolts up and works. So we've made the firewall section, but I'm just going to tie the top of this into a heavy brace that's in the side of the car, because I really just don't want that brake pedal flexing around at all. Want it nice and solid and feeling good. It's a little bit dark, but that's where the brace for the power brakes come through the firewall, and that's what we've just added to the top of that. And then we're going to tie that in to that brace that runs through that body brace there. That's about the only thing with any significant structure in the front of this cab, so we'll grab that and that should make everything nice and strong. So I just made up this bracket to hook up to the power brake booster bracket, and we'll go and mark this in where it sits up against the body brace, and then we'll trim it down and weld it in. So we've got our little support bracket made that's going to go out to the body brace. That'll stiffen that brake pedal mount right up. And leave us with a really good pedal. That's what the booster looks like on the side of the firewall now. These double diaphragm units work pretty well. I've got one of them on my own hot rod. Just keep at it. Breaking Bad.
Do that edge. It's wet.
Yeah, down. G'day. So it's late in the day on Thursday, and just in the storeroom downstairs with the 350 small block stroke of the 383. That'd be disappointing. And we're just sort of doing a quick mock-up on it now after sort of doing the rod clearances. Gave it another quick wash, and just put all 4 corner pistons in now to measure the deck heights. So that's our little small block there. We'll just measure all 4 corners now, and that way the machinist can square the deck as we take it down to 0. Now this is the first time I'm checking it too after clearancing for the con rods, so we'll see how that turned out. Okay, so unfortunately for me, I've got a little bit more clearancing to do. You can't really see it very well down there, but we've got good clearance on those rod bolts. But it's this rear pairing here. Rod bolt misses the side of the bore nicely now. I'm really happy with that. But that very back piston, the rod just, and I mean just, grazes the center of the cylinder wall. So that's just going to need a little bit of clearance in there. So we'll put the rest of the pistons in now and check that they're all going to be happy. And then we'll clearance that back one, and any others obviously. Then we'll measure the deck heights, mark the block for the machinist, and then I think we'll be good to go. But obviously everything will get checked again in final assembly. The joys of building stroker engines, and they're always different, always. So just put a white mark in the area that conrod's fouling. That'll just remind me where to go once I pull this down again from mock-up. Well, that's absolutely going to do it for another day. It's starting to look a little bit stormy here tonight. It'd be good to get some rain. Time to cruise home, hang out with the family, hang out with Jacko the German Shepherd, and yeah, we'll be back into it tomorrow morning, last day of the week already. Oh, I shouldn't say that because I'll definitely be there Saturday. See you all then. Jackie. Jackson. Jacko. Hey buddy. Morning, last day of the working week. Just rolled in. Go and have a bit of a look at sort of where we ended up yesterday. Decided to ride today. It's supposed to be 26. Nice and cool this morning. Fingers crossed it's not 300% humidity like it has been. I'll just peel the curtain back on the tent here. So the black went down on the dash late yesterday afternoon. Give that a couple of days to harden up, and Brendan will give that a polish. That's about the last of the black that we'll be doing here, I think, off the top of my head. So continue on with blocking out panels, matching them panel to panel. The grill on this old girl needs a fair bit of work. It was really rusted out. I would have liked to have replaced it, but by the time I get one landed here, it's about $2,000, so I can do a lot of fixing for that. Spent a fair bit of time working on the coupe there yesterday, and I'll be doing a little bit on that today, as well as some engine work. So time to get after it. So just getting some steam pipe cleaned up and tacked up for a cross member that I need to make. Haven't really got the full plan worked out yet, but I'm sure it'll work. Well, it's a thing. Alright, so that's the start of my cross member to mount the 4-link coppers. That's as far as I can go until we can try and mock it up in there. So we'll just have a bit of a look at what's been going on. So our centerpiece for our cross member worked out pretty good. We've got our El Cheapo rod shop 4-link set up. We have cycled it. Everything's adjustable, so we can have a bit of a play with that later on. Scoot's just knocking up a panhard bar for us now, and I'm just getting the rear section that we've made on that will house our drop tank, which I've already built. And yeah, this is what you call speed hot rod building. Back half a chassis in a day. Time to throw the hot glue gun around and make it not fall off anymore. So that'll be the last little welding job for today. Officially the end of Friday. That'll do. Plenty. That's enough. Little welding job on the panhard bar for the 4-link in the back of this chassis that we've been working on. So we keep these bush housings in stock. We use them a lot on the race cars. They take a Nolithane or a Delrin bush. Just a Cartec bung in the other end for an FK rod end. And that will go, zoop, cruise around here. That will run across the top of the diff, attached to the chassis. We do prefer a Watts link, but doesn't really suit the setup that we're using. We could have done a mount probably around the back of the Salisbury that was boltable, but this will work fine. Cross member worked out fine. Probably do some kind of tube brace off the top down to there, and then probably tie that front to back somehow with the factory one as well. But yeah, pretty productive day. So that'll be the last little welding job for today. Officially the end of Friday. That'll do. Plenty. That's enough. Little welding job on the panhard bar for the 4-link in the back of this chassis that we've been working on. Good morning. Saturday. My favourite day in the workshop. Phones don't ring. We sort of got the joint all to ourselves, and usually can get quite a bit done in a short amount of time. So let's see where we finished up yesterday and what we've got to do today. So yesterday I got a fair bit done on the chassis that we're putting the 1958 F100 on. Mostly concentrated on the rear clip, getting that in. Probably did a little bit more chopping and changing than what I was initially planning on. But I think it'll work out well, especially with the drop tank and a roll pan idea that I've got once the body and the tub gets built. So today I've got to make some brackets to hold the panhard rod across to the top of the diff. We've got plenty more welding to do on the 4-link brackets. Got to machine up some spacers so that they don't crush up when I weld them up. I'm not going to weld that loop in until we've got engine and gearbox installed, because I reckon it's got to come down a little bit. That's just tacked with the TIG in a couple of spots there. What else are we doing today? So just marking out some brackets to cut out by hand to hold the panhard rod onto the chassis. Trying to grab the grinder. so we've got a couple of tabs just quickly knocked up. Just got to head upstairs and grab a big ass 3/4 bolt. Definitely overkill for a panhard bar, but they're the bushes and housings that we've got, so we're going to use them. Where are we? Longer than that. Yep, that'll be our huckleberry right there. Alright, we've got our hardware that we need to make it happen. Go back down and get on with it. Alright, so we've got our tabs that we've just knocked up quickly. Push the Nolithane bush into the end. We'll go and see if we can install that on the car. Unfortunately, my little favourite new welder ran out of wire yesterday and I didn't have a spare, so got to drag the big old reliable one over here. Man, I've had this old 3-phase welder for probably 20 years and I can't think the amount of race car stuff this thing's welded up. Okay, so we got lucky there. We've got some left-hand rod ends in stock which will do the job really nicely, so we'll go down and do a mock-up on that and see how we go. Alright, so it turns out I'm going to have to run the rod end on both ends of this setup so I can get the clearance between the bottom of that and the falling bracket if we want to compress the suspension all the way to the rail. Or obviously, you know, within 10 mil of the rail to allow for a bump stop. So just got to quickly knock up some tabs for that now and we'll get that tacked up again. I think we may be able to speed this up a little bit. I reckon I can probably use a couple of those and cut the radiuses off of those. So we might not actually have to grab the angle grinder this time. Alright, I reckon that's going to be a bit of a happy accident. Probably the size of the rod end and everything's a lot more appropriate for the project. I was just trying to keep a urethane bush in there. I don't really know why. We just put some rubber boots over these and that'll keep the engineer happy. So we'll get that tacked up now and go from there. Oh, so we just marked out some pieces of strap here. Just going to chop them off, and that'll help us with some gussets. So that just capped in the back side of the 4-link mounts. We'll give them a little tidy up and a bit of a de-spatter. And then we're going to bring a brace forward to that front cross member, which will take some twist out of our cross member that we've put in, strengthen that up a hell of a lot. Should be good. Well, that got our couple little braces put in there. It's probably about as far as I want to go with this for now. We've still got to do some end capping pieces, and we're going to blend that into our curve and box that in. And then the tank will fit in the back. In fact, I might just put that in there. Hang on a sec. So that's the drop tank that I made, sitting up in there. The plan will be to do some mounts around the top of the tank in this area, and then use that mount to brace up the corner. We don't have the facilities to be able to make that radius any other way than cutting it and welding it, which, yeah, can definitely take some strength out, even though it's a pretty heavy box section. I think a wrap incorporated in the mount will solve any issues that could potentially come up from that. But what I was hoping by shortening the distance up between the back of the diff is I want to bring the roll pan, when I make the tub, I want to make the roll pan wrap down and under that. It should look really neat and work really well. I'm not sure what capacity that tank is. I reckon it'll probably be about 90 litres, which is an absolute hell of a lot. But we don't really know what we'll be doing with this. We might decide to jump in one day and drive to Canberra. So, you know, go to Summer Nats or something like that in the work truck. Who knows? Rather have more than not enough. That's going to wrap up my Saturday, I reckon. It's been a pretty productive week, to say the least. Heaps going on, but I am really excited about next week. I'm back onto Pro Buggy that I've been building for a while now. It's an SS Racetech car through and through. Really, really good 6-litre in it. Dry sumped engine, built here. Every single piece of this car is built here, and I'm really, really excited to be back on it, and probably putting a fair bit of work into it in the next, 2 to 3 months to hopefully get it powder coated, reassembled, and sent out to wiring perhaps, or at least get to that sort of stage anyway. We've still got a lot of work to do on that one and another one that we've been building for a while. These cars are so expensive now, and it's I don't know, like, we have to charge an hourly rate, obviously, otherwise we can't be here. It's as simple as that. We do this for a living. There's no backup plan. We don't have other businesses. We don't have farms. We don't have transport companies. We started this from absolutely nothing. That said, we try and keep it as affordable as we can, because it still is our core business. I've had ups and downs with the sport. I think I got a bit burnt out on it for a while, but it still is a massive part of me. I think about it all the time. We will be back. There is no doubt about that. But we've chosen to do a lot in business, and I've chosen to do a lot outside of business. Housing, being an adult for a change, and not just spending every dollar I make on racing, and money I haven't even made to go racing. I was lucky enough to do it for about 27 years straight. A little bit on and off when I was spending a lot of time behind the windscreen when I had my own trucks, but I still raced every year even then. And yeah, I don't know, like maybe I just got a bit burnt out on it. I think maybe doing it for a living, that can definitely take the shine off of it at some stages. We've had, I would say 98% of our customers over the journey have been absolutely awesome to work with. There were a couple in the last few years that I didn't really enjoy at all, and funnily enough, they didn't stay in the sport. So yeah, I think that kind of says it all, and we'll just leave that there. Money doesn't always buy skill or success. Yeah, let's just leave that. Let's not get all negative on a Saturday. Anyway, take it easy. Please leave us a comment. That'd be awesome. Like, we really, really do like hearing from people. Drop us a like. If you'd subscribe to the channel, that'd be awesome. This is how we're going to update all the race tech stuff that's going on in the future, and hopefully it shows a lot more of what goes on, how it's done, the time that goes into it, to hopefully create a better understanding of the picture in your head versus the reality of bringing it to life. Anyway, have a great weekend. See you next week.